This message isn't for everyone. Only those who felt, deep down, that something is wrong with this world will keep reading. Something no one says out loud. But it's about to explode. You're about to uncover a secret buried for millennia, literally. 4 angels are imprisoned beneath the Euphrates River, sealed by a divine decree, waiting for a specific day, month, year, and hour to be released. And that moment, according to ancient scriptures, is unfolding now. These aren't heavenly angels with golden wings. They are dark entities, punished for corrupting humanity. Beings who defied the Creator, and were chained like a spiritual countdown bomb. While most still believe the apocalypse is just symbolic literature, the Euphrates is drying up. And what was hidden begins to emerge, as if the earth itself is unraveling the bindings of the invisible. This won't be on the news. It won't be preached from the pulpits. But if you stay with me, you'll understand why this sealed prophecy was hidden for so long, and why it's unraveling right now. What you're about to see isn't a religious tale, it's a spiritual map few dare to follow. A private call reserved for those who feel they're awakening from a deep slumber. Get ready to dive into ancient secrets, into signs that have always been right in front of you, and into details the spiritual and religious elites have tried to keep far from your reach. Because if these fallen angels are released, nothing will remain as it is. And you need to be ready before the first trumpet sounds. Few know that hidden in the depths of the book of Revelation lies a passage that seems written for the age we live in. It speaks of 4 angels imprisoned, not symbolically, but literally chained beneath the Euphrates River, waiting for a precise day, month, year, and hour. That level of precision is uncommon in Scripture. When something is marked so meticulously in time, it's no coincidence, it's a summons. And these angels, unlike the classical image of beings of light and celestial harps, are agents of judgment. They didn't come to comfort, but to execute. What has puzzled scholars and seekers for centuries is, why the Euphrates? And more importantly, why must these angels be released? What if their release isn't a flaw in the divine system, but part of a plan architected in the cosmic backstage for millennia? These beings are not forgotten, they're reserved. They weren't imprisoned by accident, but by higher order. And when they are released, it will be to fulfill a dark role, not a symbolic judgment, but a devastating one. According to biblical prophecy, the release of these angels will unleash an army of 200 million. Yes, an astonishingly precise number, cited as part of divine punishment. This isn't from some obscure allegory, it's in Revelation 9 verses 15 to 16. When read with open eyes, you realize the Bible isn't just describing the past, it's signaling a near future. And it all begins with the removal of these invisible chains beneath the Euphrates River. If we think calmly, even science fiction films seem inspired by this structure: imprisoned creatures, marked time, a catastrophic mission ready to be fulfilled. But this isn't a movie script. These are real supernatural entities, beings so destructive that they had to be sealed underground. That brings us to a disturbing question: what exactly did they do to deserve this? The answer throws us right into the heart of the Bible's mystery, where fallen angels emerge as central figures in an ancient rebellion. They didn't just disobey, they interfered with human destiny. According to ancient texts, they taught magic, manipulated human genetics, and defied the Creator's order. The Book of Enoch, apocryphal to some, revered by others, claims these fallen angels corrupted creation. They were condemned, and some of the worst may be beneath the Euphrates. Imprisoned, for now. What's most intriguing is that their release has already been scheduled. That means, while many go about their lives oblivious, a divine plan is silently unfolding. And when that time comes, it will come, there will be no stopping what's been written. But this leads us to another point, perhaps even more disturbing: the Euphrates River, and what's happening to it today. The Euphrates isn't just a name mentioned in Scripture, it's a true lifeline in humanity's sacred history. From the times of Eden to the final chapters of Revelation, it appears as a geographic and spiritual axis. It was one of the 4 rivers that watered the Garden of Eden, according to Genesis, which already connects it to the origin of life on earth. But what begins as a source of fertility and blessing ends as a scene of judgment and destruction. That contrast isn't accidental, it's a living metaphor for the cycle of creation and the end times. Throughout the centuries, the Euphrates has been a stage for empires and wars that shaped civilization's destiny. Babylon, Assyria, Persia, all thrived along its banks. No wonder prophets saw it as a spiritual axis. It divided lands, but also realms. Among mystics and scholars, there's a growing belief that the Euphrates' current drought is an alarming sign. A clue that the sealed prophecy is beginning to open before our very eyes, drop by drop, crack by crack. Recent images show the Euphrates shrinking. In some areas, it has nearly vanished. And this isn't just a climate crisis, although it's that too. The terrifying part is that Revelation itself mentions the Euphrates drying up as part of the divine end times plan. Coincidence? For those who believe in chance, maybe. But for those who see beyond the visible, this is a signal from the heavens, echoing like a distant drum announcing something dark on the horizon. Some theologians and spiritualists suggest that the receding Euphrates may be literally clearing the path for the imprisoned angels. If their chains are beneath the riverbed, then the vanishing water could make the prophecy easier to fulfill. It's as if the prison is being unearthed, as if the excavation is being conducted by nature itself. And if that's truly happening, each meter of dry earth is one less step separating them from our world. But why this river? Why not the Nile, the Jordan, or the Tigris, its geographical twin? The answer may lie in its strategic and symbolic role. The Euphrates, beyond being a physical border, is a spiritual divide between what is human and what is divine, or perhaps infernal. It marks an invisible line between creation and rebellion. And when that line is crossed, it won't just be a geographic event, it'll be the beginning of a spiritual war like no other. And if all this is truly connected to what's coming, maybe it's time to revisit who these beings are that sleep beneath the earth. Because what's hidden isn't dead. It's merely waiting. And that's when we enter even darker territory, the nature of the fallen angels, their shadowy origins, and their direct link to the great ancient secrets few dare to reveal. The very idea that angels can fall is, in itself, unsettling. After all, how can beings of light, created to serve the divine, simply rebel? But the scriptures are clear, there was a rebellion in the heavens, and it was not symbolic, it was a war. These fallen angels, also known as the Watchers in some apocryphal texts, didn't just disobey celestial orders, they chose to interfere with human destiny. This fall traces back to Genesis 6, when the sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and took them as wives. From that union came the Nephilim, giants, hybrids, beings that should never have existed. This forbidden union wasn't just about carnal desire, it was a violation of cosmic law. The fallen angels began teaching humanity forbidden arts, alchemy, astrology, enchantments, warfare. They weren't just wandering spiritual entities, they were instructors of ruin. The Book of Enoch explains how these beings corrupted humanity by introducing knowledge that wasn't meant to be received. Imagine giving a nuclear bomb to a child, it was something like that. They shared forbidden knowledge, and for that, they were severely punished. What's fascinating is that this story echoes through countless cultures. In Sumerian mythology, for example, there are accounts of entities called Anunnaki who descended from the heavens and altered the genetic structure of humans. In modern occultism, scholars like Eliphas Levi and Blavatsky spoke of extradimensional beings manipulating reality from the shadows. All of this points to one idea: there are supernatural entities who were chained, silenced, but never destroyed. They are lurking, and some may well be the dark angels still waiting beneath the Euphrates. It's worth remembering that, in Hebrew tradition, a name carries the essence of a being. Names like Azazel, Semjaza, and others repeatedly appear in ancient texts, always connected to these fallen entities. Some rabbis and mystics believe there are places on earth still vibrating with the presence of these beings, as if they left behind energetic imprints. In some esoteric practices, their names aren't even spoken aloud, to avoid invoking their frequency. This isn't superstition, it's vibrational caution. And perhaps the most unsettling part is realizing that even after millennia of imprisonment, these beings still have a mission to fulfill. They weren't eliminated, they were preserved. As if they were pieces of a divine chessboard, waiting for the exact moment to move. And that moment, according to ancient scriptures, has already been calculated. A day, an hour, a month, and a year. Have you ever wondered why such surgical precision? Because none of this was left to chance. Their release won't be chaotic, it will be ordered. And when it happens, it won't be a cry of freedom, it will be the blast of a spiritual war. But before we get to that release, we must understand what comes after these chains are broken. And this is where the scenario becomes even more terrifying, because the next step involves an army of 200 million, and the fate of 1/3 of humanity. Imagine for a moment that you're standing before a cell that has been locked for millennia. And the one opening that cell isn't an error, nor a random act, it's the Creator himself. That's how the Bible describes the release of the imprisoned angels beneath the Euphrates, a deliberate and planned act, fulfilling a cycle of cosmic justice. This is not a jailbreak, nor an act of mercy. It's a strategic move within the great spiritual game. These beings were detained for a reason, but their release is also part of a greater plan, one that points directly to the end of days. According to the book of Revelation, when these angels are released, they will lead an army of 200 million warriors. A number so massive that, until recently, it was considered impossible, until the rise of superpopulated nations and automated armies. But the biblical text doesn't describe human soldiers. It speaks of a supernatural force, something that transcends any earthly technology. This force will be unleashed with a singular purpose, to destroy 1/3 of humanity. The scale of this event is not symbolic, it's catastrophic. And as uncomfortable as this may sound, it's essential to understand, this movement doesn't represent divine failure, it is the fulfillment of a sealed prophecy. Revelation isn't a book of random tragedies, but a sequence of meticulously designed phases. The release of the angels marks the beginning of a new chapter in spiritual warfare. It's no coincidence that global conflicts and moral collapse are accelerating. Some say the field is being prepared, that the pieces are already moving silently. As apocalyptic as this vision may seem, it also carries an opportunity, the chance to awaken. If humanity is to be exposed to the impact of these events, each person will have a choice to make. Will you surrender to fear, or position yourself spiritually? This is the moment to understand that this war won't be won with weapons, but with vibrational consciousness. Books like The Power of Now, The Field, or the teachings of Neville Goddard may become survival manuals, not for the body, but for the soul. And this is not about institutional religion, but vibrational alignment with the divine. Because when these entities are freed, the world won't stop to make announcements. The headlines won't say, "Fallen angels are loose." But you will feel it, in people's behavior, in collapsing systems, in rising chaos and falling masks. You'll sense it in disturbing dreams, strong intuitions, in coincidences repeating like silent alarms. These are the signs of the end, whispering that something invisible is approaching. And if all of this still feels distant, perhaps it's time to look inward. Because the first to feel this spiritual war won't be the armies, but the sensitives, the connected, the awakened. And this brings us to one uncomfortable question: are we truly ready to recognize these signs? Do we really understand what these supernatural entities represent? Maybe the answer isn't in the books, but inside you. And that reflection leads us to the most important part of all. There comes a point when you can no longer live as if nothing is happening. The prophecies are no longer metaphors, they are echoing in the headlines, in disasters, in wars, in the words of global leaders. And if you've made it this far, reading about imprisoned angels, biblical prophecy, spiritual war, and unfolding signs, it's because something inside you has already awakened. Maybe not fully, but enough to know there's a hidden truth behind the illusion sold to us daily. This call to awakening is not to scare you. It's to remind you what you're made of. You're not just flesh, bone, and bills to pay. You are vibrational consciousness, an extension of a universal mind. And in this great stage where the forces of light and chaos battle, your choice matters. Because awakening isn't about becoming an expert in eschatology or preaching doomsday. Awakening is aligning with what vibrates above fear. It's realizing that even in the face of destruction, there is a point of light waiting to be lit, inside you. Some prefer to believe this is all fantasy or exaggeration. That's okay. Everyone awakens in their own time. But if you feel something strange in the air, if you sense the world has lost its balance, that invisible forces are influencing behavior, that the energy of people feels off, then you're already ahead of most. The next step is to take spiritual responsibility for your own frequency. It can start simply: meditate for 5 minutes a day, read the Kybalion or the power of the subconscious mind, filter your words, select your thoughts. Because the release of the dark angels isn't just an event out there, it also represents the release of internal forces. Each of us carries destructive impulses within that, if unrecognized and unchecked, can turn us into agents of the same chaos we condemn. This is the real battlefield, the invisible, the etheric, the mental. And if you want to be part of the solution, it must begin with what you emit, your words, your intentions, your daily actions. They are your seal. Maybe this is the most ignored part by those who study the book of Revelation. Awakening is not passive. It demands action. But not blind action. It demands reconnection with the spiritual matrix that governs reality. It demands awareness. It demands practice. Many want miracles, but few practice the miracle of spiritual discipline. Want to change the world's vibration? Change what vibrates within you. Frequencies connect, and if you vibrate with clarity, love, and truth, you'll begin to attract exactly the opposite of what those dark angels represent. And so the final question isn't, when will they be released, but, when will you release yourself from spiritual sleep? Because the prophecy is unfolding, the seals are breaking, the time is being fulfilled, but there is still a choice to be made. And maybe, just maybe, right now is the time to look back, understand everything that has been revealed, and open a new cycle, with a question that no one likes to ask, but must be asked. You didn't come this far by accident. Something greater brought you here, something that whispers when the world goes silent. Maybe you can't explain it, but you felt it. You felt that these words weren't just words. They were codes. They were keys. And if you were truly paying attention, you know there's no way to unsee what's been revealed. The prophecy isn't coming. It has already begun. And those who still sleep won't understand what hit them. The truth is, deep down, no one is really waiting for angels with trumpets. People are too distracted by the noise of the world. But those who know, feel. And those who feel, move. Not with haste, but with awareness. Because the battle isn't physical, it's vibrational. And your frequency determines which side you'll be on when the veil falls. Want to know why this content found you right now? Maybe your spirit has waited lifetimes for this reminder. Maybe you are one of those who need to remember what you were before the forgetting. What you knew before the noise. This isn't entertainment. It's a mirror. So tell me, sincerely, what will you do with this? Will you close the tab and carry on with life? Or will you turn your life into the field where prophecy becomes awakening? Comment below what impacted you most, and share this with someone who needs to remember that reality is more than what eyes can see. If this message resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and stay close. Because the seals are breaking, and the next revelation might just be the one that unlocks your destiny forever.